change the cable. But this cable now no be our own cable. This one wey dey here na no be our own, na their own. So I just touch am now, the noise don stop. But my one two, can you hear me? 1 2, clean. Is it clean? No noise. 1 2 1 2. That means that their own cable, so they change the cable. 1 2 1 2. Yeah. Yeah. 1 2 1 2. Yeah. two. 1 2 1 2. Increase and small. 1 2 1 2 1 2. Get up. 1 2 1 2 1 2. How is it? How is it? 1 2 1 2. 1 2 1 2. Yeah, yeah. 1 2 1 2. Yeah, yeah. 1 2. Yeah, 1 2. Yeah, yeah. 1 2 1 2. Yeah. Share. No be here. 1 2. Yeah. No be here. Yeah. 1 2 1 2. Eh? Make I do like this. You no go hear am now. Go something now. 1 2. Yeah. Yeah. 1 2. Can you hear am? 1 2. Yeah. 1 2 1 2. Yeah. 1 2. Yeah. Eh? You say? You know, they go increase am from their own side. But you can hear me now. You can hear me now. Yeah. 1 2. Yeah. Yeah. 1 2 1 2. Yeah. 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 1 2. Yeah. 1 2. Yeah. 1 2. Yeah. 1 2. Yeah. All right. Yeah. 1 2. Yeah. 1 2. All right. 1 2. Yeah. 1 2.
Yeah, one naked.
No, don't worry, sir. Don't worry. Leave that.
One naked.
No, no worry.
Okay.
Okay, be now. Hmm? Okay, tell them to put the TV for the children. We're going up now. Okay, tell them to put the TV for the children.
I've already told them.
It's okay, no problem.
It's already on.
No problem, no problem. Hello, Mama, my brother. In 3 minutes, huh? We're going on in 3 minutes.
I need to beg to say.
In 3-4 minutes, yeah. All of them. Channels, AIT, TVC, AIT, Arise, all of them. Yeah, and TVC, yeah. Okay. Thank you, sir. Okay, sir. Okay. Hello? Mm-hmm. Hmm? How far? Okay. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll meet you people there. Yes. I'll be there. I'll be coming there soon. Oh, okay. Okay. Okay.
Stand by. Yes. So we can go now.
See, ask me how we are faring before last we talk about it. How you're faring. How we're faring, yes.
Hello, how are you?
You see the political atmosphere.
All right.
Wait now.
So thank you, Honorable, for welcoming us so warmly to your country home for the second quarterly update on the Petroleum Committee downstream, which of course you heard. And before we begin, I would also like to ask how you're coping with the charged political atmosphere around Imo. Because we are the men on ground, so
Today is not for politics, but I think there's nothing with the grace of God that we are not capable of going through. I can tell you that it's normal thing, people trying to create unnecessary tension. Being popular is not a problem. I think those who don't like me should go and make their own camp popular, not to be running around. If I want to do a program, you want to scatter and so on and so forth, like some of them are saying tomorrow. But we're not people that can be intimidated. We're equal to the task. God is with us. The people is with us, and that is what matters. So, but today is not for politics. The day for politics will be tomorrow at Ntueke. Okay. So we'll do that, yeah.
Okay. So my colleagues are ready, but before we go into the briefing, there are a few things we hope you will reflect in the briefing, because this is not a direct press conference where we'll have opportunity to ask many questions. So we're hoping you will reflect a few of these things like the recent allegations of monopoly against Dangote refineries. I think it was made by an official of the World Bank. Then how the joint Senate and House of Rep committee resolved and rejected the call for splitting of the pipeline surveillance contract. Give us some perspective on that, and most importantly, what your committee and other relevant agencies are doing to ensure affordable pricing of petroleum products. This is what I think this area is more important, or most important, to everyday Nigerians, so we can afford fuel and petroleum products. So, and every other thing there to be expecting it to. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the introduction. I still remain Ikenga Imo Buchinyere, Chairman Downstream Petroleum. Let me welcome you from the Telegraph, and welcome my brothers from Arise TV, from TVC, from AIT, from channels, and all the media organizations that are here present in our country home in Akokwa for our usual quarterly briefing. So I thank you so much, and I pray that God will take you people back when you are going back to your respective destination. I think I will briefly, if you permit me, I will reflect these questions that we have all agreed that I should reflect in my quarterly briefing as I make the briefing, especially on the decision of the Joint Committee of the Senate and Rep, and other decisions and other issues that we have taken. I think it was on 8th of April, that the Joint Committee of the Senate Upstream, Senate Downstream, Senate Gas, and Rep Upstream, Rep Gas, Rep Downstream, and Midstream, led by my brother, Henry Okoji, and chaired by our joint chair, Senator Jaribe, that these issues came to a climax, sequel to the petitions that we received and the complaints that we received that led to those investigative hearings. And we received a series of petitions, like you asked. We received a series of petitions. We got petitions from the Niger Delta Stakeholders Consultative Forum on the demand for the dismantling of the Tompolo pipeline surveillance monopoly. We received one from the Forum of Former Militants for Peace and Unity in Niger Delta for immediate decentralizations. And then we received another one, I think, we received another one from the Niger Delta Stakeholders Consultative Forum for dismantling and state-by-state decentralization, and so on and so forth. So, and the procedure was to invite the petitioners to be able to defend and substantiate the allegations contained in their presentation. But on different occasions we invited them, they did not show up, even on the final day, which was on the 8th of April, that led the committee to come to a unanimous decision to dismiss those petitions. But also it's important to know other facts that also led to that dismissal. One, also we were served with an order, a ruling of a high court also, which also where they took that matter, apart from bringing it to the parliament, they also took it to the court by the trustees of Webin Association against the Attorney General, the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense, Tantita Security Services, and Pipeline Infrastructure Nigeria Limited, and so on and so forth. So I think in the ruling, the judge said, if you permit me to read an extract from it, because these are what you asked me what informed the committee's decision. These are preparing to the facts of what led to that decisions. So the judge said, I have considered the arguments in support of this application, though I do not intend to go into the merit of the matter at this stage. I'm of the strong view that the application seeking to stop the renewal of the pipeline surveillance contract is inimical to national economic interests and can throw the country into economic crisis because it will be greeted with increased oil theft and vandalization, thereby jeopardizing the country economy and public good. I'm equally of the view that issues of pipeline security is at the very heart of our nation's economic survival. Hence, it's of great public importance. It will therefore be in public interest that the application at this stage be refused and is accordingly refused. And I also consider the prayer for suspension of renewal as baseless based on the reasons stated above. And this Honorable Court also refused to grant such an order at this stage because it will lead to national economic crisis. A bird-eye view of the prayer for splitting of the job is not supported by cogent reasons based on the affidavit before the court and is therefore refused. While leave is granted to the court to serve the court process outside the jurisdiction and for accelerated hearing, the prayer seeking for submission of the payment made at this stage is premature and accordingly refused. The use of an expert application to seek to restructure a legitimate government contract which have helped the nation to achieve increased production is not in national interest. In view of the above, prayer 1 and 5 are hereby granted, while 2, 3, 4 are refused based on the reasons stated above. Then that was the decision that was also served on us. But then, apart from these issues of non-appearance of the petitioners and the decisions of the High Court, which is not even the main reason for these decisions that led to the parliamentary confidence vote. If you remember, as far back as I think August 2022, between August 2022, our crude production level in the country dropped to as low as 970-something thousand barrels per day. And when you add condensate, it comes to 1,176,000 barrels per day. That was low. It wasn't even up to the OPEC daily quota. And then when this decision to hire private security firms came on board around that August, I think August 2022 or thereabout. And then you have the Tantita Security Service and other players in the sector. Before that time, there were other players who were also doing the job. And with due respect to them, they were there, but those vandalism, destruction, illegal connections were increasing and the country was losing resources. And not only that the country was losing resources, the environment was being destroyed. And then when they came on board, that was in 2022, to today, we have increased production to 1 million and I think 1.8 million barrels per day now, a little above that, going by NUPRC figure. In that case, the country has brought in, by the help of these private services, 660,000 extra barrels per day. And if you go by the market price of crude today, that fluctuates between $108 to $115 per barrel, we're talking about $78 million per day that have been saved. These are facts that are verifiable, and these are facts that guided those decisions, and it has nothing to do with politics. Of course, we belong to different political parties, but these are facts that were made available to the committee, and which the committee also saw in the course of their oversight functions, that in pre-2022, we are at 900 and something barrels per day, and then by, I think exactly 972,000 barrels per day. And when you include the condensate, it's 1.1 million barrels per day. But now we are at over 1.8 million barrels per day. That's an increment of 660,000 barrels per day. In that case, if we have continued in that old trajectory, almost close to 871 million barrels would have been lost, $750 million. So that is on one part, this increment. And again, if you look at the investment in infrastructure in the course of our oversight function, it's something that you cannot overlook. I didn't know there was anything called Theta drones, the marine drones that has the capacity to hook in a particular place for 24 hours without coming down, with enough geofencing that if somebody comes into those areas that have been marked, it will be per lab. This they have deployed in protecting some of the fixed and floating assets. When they deploy this drone, stays, hovering at that particular spot without moving for 24 hours, maybe comes down 30 minutes to rest and then go up again. And then if you move into any of those fencing areas, the digital fencing areas, it will trigger off, and then they'll be able to know that something is going on and be able to intercept it. And then we also saw what they have done with the undersea drones that is able to go down, because those areas, if you have gone to those areas, you can't see through those swampy water areas. Those drones go down, and when they go down, they're able to use sonar technology to be able to detect whether there's intrusion on the pipelines and so on and so forth, and be able to pinpoint the exact locations that you have there. So they have done a lot in terms of investment in infrastructure, especially digital infrastructure and drone, and what they have done with Textron, one of the big drone manufacturing companies. Even the Chinese Yanga, they have built world-class drone that is in tune with what is required to be able to pinpoint areas where there's a problem. Initially, there used to be problem because of our work. Most of the players used to tell us that it's difficult finding when the illegal refineries, which normally operate in the nights, are operating, because they have been so smart to move from the area of using coal and crude for their processing to using gas, which doesn't emit smoke in the night. But with those infrared drones and technology that are put in place, they can be able to detect the heat signature of the exact location where those illegal refineries are operating, and be able to attack them at once. And that's how they'll be able to dismantle close over 1,000 of such illegal refining places. And you look at stories that we used to hear and facts that we used to see, like when you go to the Forcados export terminal, where people plugged through the Ajip Reza, an illegal pipe into the Atlantic Oceans. We are loading ships for over 9 years. You now see those kind of horrible things that what the country was losing. You remember the issue of, I think, MT, Ebine, and so on and so forth, the ship that was arrested, and after the court ordered that the ship should be detained in 2012 or thereabout, the ship escaped and returned back and continued crude theft activities for over 12 years, and how they were able to intercept that ship, including the ones that have been changing their names from time to time. So in terms of being able to have the capacity to do the work, yes, without mincing word, they have proven that they have the capacity to get the job done. Are we where we're supposed to be? No, we're not yet there yet. But there's a visible improvement that we can see in the over 660,000 barrels per day increase that we have today. And then when you talk about decentralization, if you look at countries around the pipeline security system, like in Alberta, Canada, what Mayana and the Chinese are doing, there's always a reason why there must be, I won't use the word centralization, but there must be a kind of organized system that is run. It's not something that you're going to create mini state actors. I think the whole amnesty program was not just to, bastardize all the pipelines and give it to some different elements. I think if you look at the amnesty program, there is the empowerment section, where you have the amnesty program that is headed today by Dr. Brutu Otoro, who is doing so much well in empowering some of our people down here in the Niger Delta. A fantastic work he's doing. So if people are looking for such compensations and reward, they have those empowerment sections and what they can do in terms of helping those who are involved in the amnesty process. But protecting critical national oil assets of this nature is something that there must be, we must be careful in terms of national security, that we don't empower, semi-actors left, right, and center with guns and weapons and technologies which can come to hunt the country. And also to get somebody that, people that can say something is going wrong, you hold them responsible. And the PIA also made a provision for the role the companies will play with the HOSCOM, where the communities will also be empowered to help in guiding those pipes. And what the surveillance job is also helping those communities to ensure that those work is even done better. Greater part of that work is being done by the surveillance people now, more than the communities. But then the HOSCOM aspect is company versus the communities where they are operating. It has nothing to do with this overall general view. And this overall general view must agree that before now, different companies were doing different things. And even right beneath their nose there, the stealing was going on. You see a place where you have a radar center, a place where you have a surveillance center, and at the back, people are plugging a pipe and lifting this process. And then some of them, when they do that, they don't have capacity to fix it back, and they continue to leak into the ocean, into the swamp, and into the destroying marine environmental assets, and then making life miserable for the people. So it was a whole lot. If you look at when we went to the command center, if you look at the the satellite image, you can see that almost 1/3 of that Niger Delta environment have been degraded, that you require 50, 100 years for you to do any remediation for life to go on in those particular areas. So dealing with this issue of pipeline security and reducing crude theft is something that sentiment should not be attached. It's something that policy should not be attached. It's something that we should look at, what we have lost before, the billions of crude that we lost before, and then the damage that have been done to our environment, and see it as a national collective effort that requires everybody's input to be able to deal with it. And I think that's one of the, and it's not easy to protect a pipeline that is almost over 2,000 something kilometers in an environment that is over 20,000 square meters. The Niger Delta environment is about 17,000 square meters. And when you now look at somebody or a group of people protecting over 20,000 environment, or if not even 30,000, because you have to include the warehouses and other associated infrastructures that need to be covered. And this is a place where a lot of criminal elements and with their international collaborators have enjoyed billions of dollars in illegal activities stealing the crude. You will even be surprised that they even add local intelligence when we went there to, before they didn't used to tamper with gas infrastructure because it's so difficult on how to manage the gas. But now they have used local intelligence, even they can break the gas pipe, tie, I think, clothes or something so that the pressure can emit. And then when it congeals, the liquid will be dropping and they'll be lifting it with the bucket and so on and so forth. So they have been able to develop technologies that can help in tracking when there's such leak and where it is happening, and then be able to go to that particular spot. That covers almost the operating areas of Imo, of Delta, of rivers, and so on and so forth. So the committee came to conclusions on some of these issues, like one, the joint committee, which is made up of the Senate upstream and the rep upstream, and the Senate gas and the rep gas, and the Senate downstream and the House of Rep downstream committee, and then the House of Rep midstream committee, came to the conclusion to agree that, going by what we saw on the ground and going by the presentations that we have received, that there is no other player that have been able to achieve this remarkable success, and there have not been any player that have been able to invest so much in technology like this before. And that was why they come to the conclusion to give a confidence vote to the work they are doing, which was the first decision that was taken by the joint committee. And more importantly is to appreciate the role they have done in seeing that the issue of the environmental degradation and destruction of environment and damage of our environmental ecosystem have been reduced, and also appreciated the fact that vandalism has also been brought to a manageable level, even though it's not yet over, and the committee appreciated that. And then the committee now disagreed with the call for the decentralization, that it will weaken the process and create it to become an all-commerce affairs, where a lot of things cannot go wrong and we don't know who to hold responsible. Going by the experiences of the past, where different actors play different roles, and then the thing continued to increase, and it looks like some of them were even involved in making it to increase. So it was on that ground that we agreed that decentralization is not acceptable to the committee, whether you call it decentralization, whether you call it splitting, whether you call it state by state or whatever, that at this particular moment that is not acceptable. And also, more importantly, was we agreed for the sustenance of the project, the renewal of the project, and if possible, a long-term system like they do in Canada and in Abeta and the system the Chinese companies are using, so that there can be, now that they're investing so much in technology, there can be sustainability and long-term planning. It's not supposed to be something that every year people are running around. And look at the tension that was created when people were running up and down, I get me for and against and so on and so forth. It creates so much distractions, it creates so much confusion. And then we said long-term extension can also do the country good in ensuring consolidations of the gains that they have done. And yes, we can do a review. There's nothing wrong with that. But to see people that we know have been involved in these activities before and have shown some level of inability to manage it effectively, we're now saying, give me, give me, give me. And like I said before, if you're looking for something they give you and give this, you go to Dr. Bruto Arturo, who is the DG of the Amnesty program, to do those kind of things. That's why it is created, and he's doing it well, yeah. But to think that you can use critical protection of critical national assets to do tumbom, what we call like a kind of split in Igbo, was unacceptable to the committee, and that was why we dismissed that. So we dismissed that call. We dismissed those petitions which the petitioners were unable to come and substantiate, and we dismissed also the argument that splitting is in the PIA. We looked all over the PIA. There's no provision where there's such thing mentioned. The only thing that comes close to protection of assets in the oil and gas that was mentioned in the PIA was the issue of the HOSCOM, which was very clear that has to do with a percentage of the operating costs of the oil companies. Are you getting me? That should be given to the communities. It is the community, so it's the communities versus the oil companies. There's no government role in that. That was the PIA said those communities and the companies, they should make provision for a certain percentage, I think 3% operating costs or thereabout, for the communities. And if there is any vandalism or so on and so forth in those communities will not receive those funding. So it was just for the communities, and that is working very well. The communities are setting up the HOSCON trust funds and all those stuff, which is already ongoing, and which in the course of our oversight, we have seen that most of the communities have already come up with their own. So there's no provision in the PIA that supports that campaign or agitation for splitting or sharing or tumbon, whatever you want to call it. There's no provision for that. And that was why we dismissed those allegations. And also, very important was we said, if somebody have done something that has brought so much progress, we don't need to agree with him to give him a pat on the back. And that was how we came to the conclusion to give that confidence vote, because there's visible result. Like I told you, we're talking of an area that has over 2,001 something kilometer of pipelines. We're talking of a coverage that is almost over 30,000 square meters, including the warehouses. Today we have roughly close to 4,000 warehouses, including those that are producing and not producing. And some of this sabotage, some of them happens at the warehouse, some of them happens inside the infrastructure, the companies of some of these oil companies. Some of them happens beneath the sea, the swamp, and so on and so forth. And some of them on the surface. And some of them they claim to be doing cleaning, and then when they're moving with the tankers, they're doing the crude. Are you getting me? So it was so bad that you can see an Olympic size kind of stadium, the same size like an Olympic, filled with crude. So they pump it in there, and then in the night they move them. Not talk of those who are trucking with the small ones. The dangers with the small ones are they're damaging the environment. They don't have the capacity to do what they're doing. So the environment is being damaged. And then the ones that were doing the illegal refining, at times they burn themselves and destroy the whole place. And what they refine ends up knocking people's engines. So it has a lot of, it brought so much destruction, it brought so much confusion. And here you have a place where even some of them went as far as having their own surveillance system. They have their arms group, they have their drones, so that if if government or the surveillance people are coming, they will know when they are coming and be able to dismantle and run away. So it was a big international operation that international companies were involved and so on. And if you ask international oil companies and indigenous oil companies today, if you know any of them, I don't want to mention their names because some of them don't want to be mentioned. But I can tell you that if they pump, for instance, if you pump through the lines, maybe you pump 100 barrels. What gets to the terminal area is like 10 or 20. The other one leaks, and this thing is so professional that when the pipeline is on the pressure and the product is moving, they know before they now start siphoning it. So most of the oil companies were losing so much, almost 60%, 70%, 80% of their production. So that was how we came to 900 and something. At a point, people even said that 900 and something is a government figure, that it came as low as 500 and 300 barrels per day. But today, we have injected in more, over 660,000 barrels per day to have it at 1.8. And then you must say commendation to the people that have done it. It doesn't matter whether you agree with them or not. And that was all those decisions we are taking. And again, it's important I touch on the issue you asked me on. Okay, I think I've touched on the issue of splitting and decentralizations and the issue of the monopoly. There's nothing like that. And we also talked about the infrastructure that have been invested. Are you getting me? So, and we talked about the cases that were so troublesome that time. Yeah, and I talked about the pipe that was added to the Ajip Reza for over 9 years, and the underwater discovery at the Shell facility, the Afremo connection in Yokiri, and the MT Tora and the MT, Diama, and so on and so on. And those, how they were able to solve the issue of the local liquefaction and so on and so forth. So some of these things, and also other things that are doing, which are both carrot and stick approach. So it's more of commendation that we gave to them. Yes, there's need for improvement to meet our target of 2 point something, 3 point something barrels per day. But we'll start somewhere. Within a space of time, we'll be able to increase by 660,000 barrels per day, which has added over $78 million daily into the nation's coffers. So that is an improvement, and that's why we appreciate them. So you can remind me if I'm missing.
The allegation of monopoly against Dangote Group.
Okay, yeah, I think there was one more thing on the pipeline, but I'll come back to it if you permit me, so I can answer this one. Okay, when I listen to what's his name? What's the name of that man again? Okay, I think Hali Fiana, World Bank staff, talking about that. I felt so bad. I felt, we have a World Bank that were in support of removal of subsidy, that it was draining our national forex and so on and so, which is true. And then so painful it was removed, it brought so much pain and trouble. But then you turn back after we have made progress in terms of domestic refining to now say it's monopolistic. No, it's not monopolistic. It's not because Alhaji Aliko Dangote refinery is involved. From where I'm sitting as chairman of the downstream, I'm aware that from 2021 to 2026, the NNDPRA, which is reform-driven, that have been doing very well, as a leading agency in making sure the downstream sector is working very well, has given almost 23 licenses. LTE and LTC. LTE is licensed to establish, and LTC is licensed to construct. And today you have, petrochemical infrastructure springing up from different parts of the country. Apart from the Dangote 650,000 barrels per day, which he's working on expanding to 1.4 million barrels per day, that will make it the largest single train refinery in the world. We have the Ehube refinery in Delta, which is 100,000, which is also working. We have the Watersmith, which is 30,000 barrels per day, the new condensate refinery that is ongoing. We have the MB refinery, which is also in Edo. We have the Azikiwe refinery, which is also, I think, in Bayelsa, about 12,000 barrels per day. We have the Bua refinery, which is very fantastic, in Akwa Ibom, which is a 200,000 barrel per day refinery that he's building with a French petrochemical company. I think I've forgotten the freezing or what they call it. And then you have a wonderful something going on in Ondo, in Ilaje, where they have the Sunshine Free Trade Zone, where Blackbone and a Canadian company is building a 500,000 barrels per day refinery. So when you put all these things together with the effort that NNDPR is made, the target is that in the next few years, Nigeria is going to have extra 850,000 barrels per day refining infrastructure. And now each of these is at different stages of completion. So it's not like Dangote refinery is producing and you say those other ones should not produce. Those other ones are advanced. As I speak to you, if you go to Ugut and see what Watersmith is doing, if you go to Bayelsa and see what Azikiwe, if you go and see what Opak is doing at Edo, you can now see that the country is, in short, Dangote refinery is going to have a serious time in the days ahead. As a matter of fact, the Blackbone Group have sourced over $50 billion for their 500,000 capacity refinery project. So imagine a situation whereby you have the $50 billion Blackbone refinery, you have the Bua 200,000 per day refining capacity refinery with the French company, you have the I think Hube refinery, the one that is coming up in Edo. Put all these things together, you're talking of something that is almost close to 1 million barrel refining capacity refinery. So where is the monopoly? So unless what I understood that Fiano was saying, he used to be friends with some of the importers of petroleum products and some of the international companies. I can understand the pain of some of the international companies. Nigeria used to be a dumping ground. What I mean by dumping ground, that we sell our sweet bonny crude to the international community and then we import refined product, which is poverty. And then some of them like that rent system, because you sell out, you export the crude, which comes with a lot of, associated product, and then we return back just PMS for our use. So it was draining on foreign reserve and so on and so forth. So Fiona, the World Bank staff, he was a friend with one of those companies. So now maybe he's pain that the tanks of those foreign refining companies is filled with product and there's no place to ship it, and then he now say, okay, let's bring in importation. How can you, after over 50 years or thereabout as a country, we export Bonny Light crude, they call it sweet crude, but we couldn't refine 1 barrel, and now we are doing 650,000. We are doing almost completing 100,000 in Edo. The 500,000 is coming up in Ondo. 200,000 is coming up in Akwa Ibom. And you're talking about we should reverse back this progress. Of course, there's challenges that have made it so painful on the people, which is one of the things we are working night and day to find solutions to. How do we ensure that now that we are refining, that the product gets to a place that can be affordable to our people? And that brings me to the issue of not allowing the refiners to be dealing with international pricing. Because when they deal with international pricing, for instance, how do you now have a situation whereby Dangote Refinery is supposed to be receiving, I think, 15 cargoes, they are receiving about 5, and that 5 even they are receiving, the traders, they will tell them to go to the traders. So you produce the crude back here at the Niger Delta, you go to London with briefcase to negotiate with international traders. They tell you, oh, we have used it to borrow money ahead of the time, so you go to the international trader, and you're asked to pay $18 premium. So what it means that if you want 1 million barrels, you're going to pay about $18 million extra because of the premium. So we have to find a way to work around it, to consider it as a matter of national interest, that our refineries have access to crude, which is the major feedstock required for their job. And as a crude producing nation, that it should not be a problem for us, that we now refine on international prices. And if possible, what propose legislation to say, let owners of refineries who are producing be given access to oil blocks so that they can bring their international partners and be able to explore, produce the crude and supply their refineries. And also let's find a way, as a matter of national interest, that this crude, because the PAA has made provision for domestic crude supply, which is a mandatory obligation, but they are not getting it. The people in Edo is complaining. Every day the complaints we get from them is non-availability of crude. And it's on that point I want to also thank the president and the committee he set up, the domestic crude supply, the committee, I think, headed by, I forgot the person who is heading it, but that committee was designed because the president understood the importance that if you continue these rhetorics on the pay willing buyer, willing seller, like some of them are saying, are getting me a premium and all those grammars, that these people will not get crude. And then he set up that committee to find a way to ensure that these refineries get access to crude. And to some extent, they have supplied crude to some of these refineries, but then it's not enough because of what is required. Like I told you, it's almost 15 cargoes. Then you have the needs of OPAC, you have the needs of Ezekiel, all of them are all complaining about non-availability. But I must commend him for that support he has given to downstream sector, especially as it has to do with availability of crude supply, and also as it has to do with the issue of fighting crude theft and pipeline vandals. When we visited the control center area, we saw the enormous infrastructures that have been put in place. And that couldn't have been possible if there was no government support. So on that ground, I will commend him for the work he has done on that aspect. And then on the issue of, on the same issue that you talked about, I feel that comment from the World Bank staff was unfair, not only to the effort to have a sustainable downstream sector. It looks like a comment that was aimed to undermine the sector and the effort that all of us have made. And also, I must commend the World Bank for deleting that comment from that staff. But deleting that comment is not enough. You know, sacking the staff and ensuring that he goes through disciplinary measures is also very important, because you can't be in such a respected institution and you're doing admirable work for international refining and trading companies so that you can kill the progress we are making. Okay, so if you open the border and say everybody should bring whatever he or she likes, is that not stupid? So why are we now investing $50 billion in Ondo for the Sunshine, the Black Bond? Why are we now investing over $10 billion in Akwa Ibom, Bua? Why did we now invest the over $20 billion in Lagos? Why are we now investing in what Watersmith is, the transformation Watersmith is doing in Uguta and Imo State Axis? Why are we, so when you do this, do you think these investors are stupid? This money are international loans and support. And then people are watching to see those who are refining, is there an enabling environment? Because when you refine, you should be able to have a market to sell. And then when you finish refining, plus the operating environment, which is still, a bit tough, and then somebody imports every now and then, unregulated, that will kill the effort of investors in the downstream. Today, our downstream has gotten investment that is close to over $200 billion in the last 7 years. And this investment will not have come if the investors doesn't feel secure that after investing this kind of money, they'll be able to make their money back. So on that note, I would say that that comment is baseless, and that comment is coming from a staff of World Bank is a shameful comment. And yes, I appreciate the World Bank for deleting what he said, because we also raised that issue with their representative, but also ensuring that Mr. Ficien, or what they call him, Hele, is dismissed from the services of the World Bank is very important. They cannot be doing, these are the kind of things that bring bad name to World Bank as a Western imperialist organization that likes to undermine developing nations when they're making progress. Are we making progress? Yes. At a very fast speed, yes. We are making huge progress in that stream. Just like, you know how when we used to have the Warri, whatever refineries before they went down, just like Obasanjo said the other day, the NNPC, with all due respect, were unable to run it. And if we have allowed the decision of Obasanjo then to sell it to the consortium that we are willing, that paid $750 million, by now the country would have been the epicenter of refining activities in the whole of Africa. But then, because of political considerations, that transaction was cancelled. And then public interest has risen and people have built their own, and then we are putting so much pressure on them, trying to make it difficult for them. And that's why I will always any day, anytime said, it's better we sell it, it's better we do it long-term lease, that people can take it for 40 years, 30 years, 50 years, and find a way to rebuild it, and then so that NNPC can maintain equity in it, and then they can man it with private companies, and then the country will be able to have so much competition in refining. Of course, there's no monopoly. Wait until the remaining ones start producing. You now see that there's no monopoly. Everybody is coming up. Most are 60%, some are 80%, and thereabout. Now the issue is crude supply, and that is why the issue of effective surveillance of the pipeline comes in. Because if we go back, like now, the little they are even getting is because there is improved production. From 731,000 barrels per day to 1.8 million barrels per day. An increase of 660,000 barrels per day as a result of using private security firms like Tantita and others to do the pipeline surveillance process. That brought those 660. That is why some of them are still even having the little cargoes they're having for their refining process. So if you do anything that can destabilize that process, and then we'll go back to the era where people were plugging pipes directly to razors and moving it into the Atlantic. Do you know what it means? 7 years. Are you getting me? 7 years. This happened like, a 6-inch line. 7 years. Sorry, 9 years. Into the Atlantic, loading those ships. And they were going, selling it like a country on their own. And now these are things that have been able to be checkmated. Those international traders who are buying those stolen crude, they're not happy. So all these agitations you are seeing now, you don't even know who is funding them and what is the interest. And why at this particular moment, that's what we are discussing. Okay, now where is the capacity? Assuming we say, okay, come and take over. Do you have that capacity? So we're going to wait for you to build capacity? The world has moved. That's why, like I told you, when I saw the Theta drones that they're using, and I didn't know about that. 24 hours, it can hook in the sky and then geofence a particular area for clusters of infrastructure, and be able to emit signals when there is interruption or somebody nears it, thereby making your work to have some level of precision for you to know that somebody is about to tamper on this floating or fixed asset. Are you getting me? Then, how do you go down to the swamp when you cannot see the pipeline route because of the swampy nature? That's why they now have these undersea drones with sonar, the sun capabilities to be able to emit those signals that helps them to reconfigure and know exactly, even though they're not seeing what is done, but they can be able to picture and know what they are doing. Those surveillance are 24 hours. They have mapped the entire area. So if you see those huge investments in infrastructure, then you now say, let's balkanize it and dash John, dash Emeka, dash Mankechi, his own, and so on and so forth. So when are we going to now start building those infrastructure? Then the vendors are watching by the side, then they move in. Because when this thing started first, the data from NUPRC, from NNP shows it was those data axes there was improvement. These other axes, rivers, Bayelsa, and so on, was prone to daily attack and direct stealing, and whether from the wellhead or whether from the pipes, the pipeline, and so on and so forth. So they were siphoning it. So until it was made general and the fight was taken to all these axes, and that is why you have 660,000 barrels per day recovery that have added to what we have. But we are not where we are supposed to be. But I don't want this conversation to continue about balkanizing it. Are you getting me? Or dividing it as a solution to going to the next level. And also in the course of our work, we found out that most of the people who say, okay, give me, I was already working, they're already doing the work. So I don't understand what the call was about, because you're already doing it either as a subcontractor, as a partner, and so on and so forth, and you're being paid. So you're not saying, okay, give me my own like a kingdom, carve out for me and give me like a chief. We're not going to do, we have already done that balkanization when we made a provision in the PIA that host communities and the oil companies operating in their area, the oil companies should dedicate 3% or thereabout of the operating costs to host activities in terms of helping to do the surveillance. So that is the decentralization that the PIA has made provision for. And in the event that there continues to be leak in your own area, you don't get from that fund. So that has already been done. And there's no other provision to now say this particular one that have been designed, that have produced results, and infrastructure for it has been built, should be divided into, I don't know how to say, pass by pass and so on and so forth. So the most important thing is that when you see a work that has been done well, you accept that the work has been done well. And if you see a work that has not been done well, of course, yes, we have not gotten to that perfection level that we desire, but we have made improvements. And the environment now, what we should worry about is how do we remedy the environment? Because I have been there and I have seen that 70% of that over 70,000 square meters have been destroyed by this space that were deliberate. The aqua life is gone in most of those areas because people deliberately, without capacity, opened these valves, take what they want, and left it to flow into the ocean. So it has damaged the place greatly. And now these things are being reduced, these things are being checked. Whether the small vandals and the small people stealing it, to the big ones who comes with the big vessels and the big boats and the big ship and so on and so forth, war have been taken to them, and they have been in improvement. And all the security agencies are working with them, whether the civil defense, which has over 500 or 2,000, I can't remember the number, staffs who are working with them, both the army and so on and so forth, they're all collaborating with them, with other agencies in dealing with this menace, which is a national problem. It's always the same enough in developing countries where people make a living by stealing national resources. So we have made an improvement, and that is why we said that Tantita deserve a confidence vote for what they have done, and that decentralizing and splitting at this moment is not acceptable to the joint committee. So that was why that joint committee led by the Senate upstream led by Senator Etan, and the Senate downstream led by Kawo Ismaila, and the Senate gas led by Senator Jaribe, who is our joint chair, very fantastic joint chair, and also the rep midstream led by Okoji, and the rep upstream led by Adodogua, and the rep gas led by Mutu, who actually seconded the motion, very supportive person, and also the downstream also led by me, agreed unanimously that this is the way to go, and to commend them, and also to insist that they must continue to brief us on quarterly basis to see the challenges, the progress, so that if we notice anything that is not going right, definitely we will withdraw our support and insist on changes to be made. But for now, they have done a very fantastic job, and they will commend them for that. Yeah. But I think...
So in essence, you're assuring the people that in the short or long run, there is hope for affordable pricing of petroleum products.
Yes, like I said before, it's guided by international pricing now, because the crude is not coming directly from us. They get 5 cargoes out of 15 from the last time they appeared before us, and then they import the total of what they get, including Dangote refineries, and then they import from the US and some other countries. So you know the price of the crude. The price of the crude is between $108 to $110, $115 per barrel, depending on it keep fluctuating, because people are watching what's happening in Iran. So when you import at that price, you mix up and then you produce. That will guide your pricing. And that's why we have this pricing, which is now affecting the masses, and which is why the president now set up the committee to find solutions to ensuring that the refineries have, as I said, we commend the president for that initiative in helping to bring that stability, but that we have not achieved where we need to be, and that committee needs to be meeting regularly to listen to the complaints of the refiners, to be able to ensure that we'll find a sustainable way to ensure availability of this crude to the refiners. So that is already ongoing. It's part of the measures to cushion the effect of the price, which is going up. I get it, because each time they bring in more from international, they will adjust their price. But if we can find a way to ensure, like the committee is doing, that sooner than later, 100% of their cargoes, their feedstock, all that they want comes at a naira price, then they will have no justification not to give us product at an affordable price. And with that, the country will benefit greatly. And I'm working night and day. That's why, like I told you, we're working on a legislation to ensure that in bid licensing and that owners of refineries that are producing above 100,000 should be given access to have an oil exploration license, have a block to be able to work with their partners to raise it in the long term and be able to feed their refineries. And those that are between 10,000, 20,000 barrels per day can form themselves into a clusters and be given an asset for them to be able to explore and feed their. That's sustainable long-term solution. But in the meantime, we must find a way to adjust this issue of premium. I understand the traders what they're doing, but we can't continue to pay $18 extra on the price of crude before you can get it and expect it to be 900 naira at the pump station. Definitely it will not be so, and that is so painful. And that is why, yes, we may not have control on that, but through legislation and executive orders, we can be able to push through this cartel and ensure that our local refineries get this product without much pressure, and also to encourage the federal government to increase what they are doing with the naira for crude, to ensure that it becomes 100% perfect for, well, not really a swap. It is a pricing regime that the president is doing to ensure that the price is available to the refiners and the price is also manageable, and then they can be able to refine and give us also back in naira. So it's a wonderful program which we also supporting, which we believe will help to solve some of these problems. So give and take. The downstream sector is on the march to greatness. Like I told you, the investment has trickled in to almost over 200 billion. And that because of the support also we have enjoyed from the government to ensuring that the sector, the licensing process now is not too difficult now, like it used to be. So whether it's the LUTE, which is the license to establish, or the LUTC, which is the license to construct, working with the NNDPRA, the processing process have been, stipulated in clear and concise way that as an investor you can come in and you know what you are looking for and you know how it can be done. Are you getting me? So with what they have done, I can tell you in the years ahead, Nigeria will be the refining hub of Africa, providing energy stability, which is key to national stability in Nigeria, and making Nigeria the refining hub of Africa. Whether you like it or not, we're going to rule in the years ahead because we have over 850,000 barrel refining capacity at different stages of construction. So once they're done, I can tell you, add it to the 650 or the 1.4 million that Alhaji Aliko Dangote is expanding, the country will have close to 200 million barrels refining capacity a day. So imagine what that will do in terms of associated product and stuff that will come into employment and manpower and capacity in Africa and in Nigeria, and as a biggest source of foreign revenue for us. So it's so fantastic, and that's something everybody must support. So in conclusion, I will want to thank you for coming, and not only thanking you for coming, also thank my colleagues in the Joint Committee for the wonderful work they are doing, and also appreciate the great work that Tanteta Security Services that have done, that moved us from 970-something barrels per day pre-2022 to 1.8 million barrels per day as of April 2026, with associated work that have done in terms of ensuring the pipes are protected, illegal collections are removed, warehouses are protected, and the destruction of the environment is reduced. And more importantly also, the deployment of technology, whether it's the Theta drones, whether it's undersea drones with sonar capabilities, and the surveillance system and the infrared system that help to detect illegal refineries in the night and be able to nip them in the bush. So the committee commends them and appreciate them, and wish that they continue in that line.
Thank you very much, Honorable. And we're almost out of time. If you can spare a few words very fast on how you're coping with your newfound party, APP, and the intensity of the political atmosphere in Imo.
Well, you can see my elephant is by my side. It's one of the big things. My enemies don't like seeing now. The elephant is there. We decided to go to APP because we felt that policies are about the people, and on our own, we can mobilize our people with the support of God and be able to achieve whatever we want. The focus is to understand that His power comes from people as God has designed. So that's why we went to APP to be honest. But it's unfortunate that the APP that they say is so small party, within few months of coming, is the biggest opposition party in Imo now, with 2 members of the House of Representatives. Before it used to be PDP or ADC, but today ADC, PDP doesn't have any single seat. We are the only one that have seats. So we are the second biggest political party in Imo now. We are the fastest growing. We are the biggest opposition platform in Imo. And we're also rising in different parts of the country where our members are helping us in building this elephant party. So definitely those who don't like free and fair election are panicking. We have a big rally tomorrow at Ntueke. It's a massive rally by Idato South Political Mobilization Council and Idato Political Forum led by our brother Boreski and other leaders, and the Ezumezu, Ebenes and so on and so forth, and the Moibeman political group. They are bringing us together to adopt the APP as the sole and consensus political party in Idato, and also us as a consensus candidate. But it's unfortunate that few hours to the rally, people are running up and down, that they want to go there and put a canopy to disrupt the event. And imagine people who are giving gun, one young man as a vigilante, that he'll go there and shoot our people. But let me make this very clear, and I want to call on the DG DSS and the IG of police to call the Commissioner of Police in Imo and the DSS in Imo. Ikenga and his people will be out tomorrow to Ntueke. There's no power that can stop that. And it's in their duty to stop those rascals, or will stop them for them. There's no way anybody can think at this stage of struggle, many years of struggle and suffering, that I will come at this age and a miscreant will want to disrupt my ceremony without being dealt with decisively. It's not possible. So our people will rally tomorrow. We paid for our venue, we mobilized for our venue. And this idea of panicking each time I want to step out, why are you panicking? What do? You put your own people together. That's what you do if you're popular. You saw here, you people came here day before yesterday. Over 10,000 people came here right in this compound in solidarity. What you're going to see here is times 3 of that. And you think you can come and say, oh, we don't want him to show. Because they say, oh, if you can stop him, then the people, the governor in Owerri will see you that you have the capacity to fight Ikenga. You don't have a capacity. The best capacity to fight me is to go and mobilize and convince the people. The people love us because they know who we are. We were raised here, we went to school here, went to seminary school here, we traded here, we sold in Oriakokwa, Oriumobom, we sold in Nkumuchima, we sold in Karondizog, we sold in Nkumuchu, and so on and so forth. So they know us, we know them, we traded in the Kobodo. And now finished school came back to them. So they know this is their messenger, this is their creation. In Ezai, they elected me. These are things people in the world don't want to hear. But why I wondered, on this same ground I'm sitting here in my compound, was where they assassinated some of our family members. And I don't want that to happen again. And this is how it started before. It started with destruction of billboard. Now you're destroying billboard and burning billboard. Even billboard we put in support of our people to help security agencies do their work. You are burning them because you don't want to see my face. My face was not made by billboard. It was made by the love of the people. And I'm warning them to stop. I cannot be intimidated on this issue. Win or lose, I don't care. What matters is the consistency in my struggle, and that consistency will continue from now till the day I die. There's nothing anybody can do about it. I was forged by this battle. And if you now say because I'm having a rally tomorrow, oh, you are going to, I will meet you there. I am going to lead. I'm not going to send anybody's children to be in front. Ikenga will be in front tomorrow at Ntueke. And let me see that person that want to stop us tomorrow, whosoever is. And I'm calling security agents to do their job, or we'll do it for them tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Honorable. On that note, thank you for your time. And dear colleague, I also thank you for coming. And it's been an interesting and impressive.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for coming to my home. Tivo. See, your destiny is Good night.